guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about color, and in specific how to incorporate it into more work appropriate kind of looks. Of course, that largely depends on where you work. Some employers are quite happy for you to express yourself however you choose to, whereas others are going to be far more conservative in terms of what is acceptable business attire for that setting. What I'm going to talk about today is how to incorporate color while still keeping towards that more conservative side. And that doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to look for muted or toned down colors. It's really just in terms of the placement of it and how much you use. So I don't have anything on my eyes right now, although the rest of the base is on there. So what I'm going to do is just show you guys really quickly sort of the two shadow approach that I use, especially when I'm in a rush, that still makes you look polished, but doesn't take an awful lot of time or fussing. So let's jump into that really quickly. First of all, I'm going to use an eyeshadow from Makeup Forever. This is in the shade M549, and it's one of their matte cool toned brown shades. And I'm just going to put that into the crease just to give a bit of definition. So like I said, this is a cool toned brown, so it acts more like a contour shade, and that's where that definition aspect comes in. It just, if you can see, hopefully you can see the difference. This obviously has nothing on it. This one just creates just that little bit of shadow, which just plays up the dimensions of my eyes just a little bit and just helps to make it look a little bit more put together. So sometimes I'll just wear this shadow just on its own and not even bother putting anything on the lid. And these are for days where, particularly where I want to wear like a really bold lipstick to work, like a bright red or something along those lines. This is kind of, there's my eye look. I might put like black winged liner on, but no other shadows. Today though, I am going to put something on the lid just so that we have a complete eye look to work with. And it can really be any sort of shimmery brown. That's what I'm going to go for today. It can be any color, but that's what I'm going to use. I'm going to use this little palette here from Pat McGrath. This is the Eye Ecstasy in Sublime, and it's the more neutral one. There's one that has more colorful shades, but I'm just going to, this more bronzy taupey gold over here, I'm just going to pick it up on my finger and just swipe that across the lid. Perhaps taupe is not the right word for this. It's definitely more like an antiqued bronze. In fact, I'd probably go for a lighter shade, but we'll work with what we've got. It's okay. Just to blend those two, I'm going to go back with that original brush and just sweep over it again. So normally I would put something along the lower lash line, but we're trying to go for color today, so we'll hold on to that for now. Before we move on with the eyes, let's talk about the easiest way to incorporate color into any look, and that's through your lips. If you're new to color, you may be overwhelmed at the idea of slapping on a bright red lipstick or even diving into the world of liquid lipsticks, which tend to be far more pigmented and bold. So an option might be a gloss. So the one that I have here is from Tarte. It's one of their Rainforest of the Sea ones, or their H2O gloss, and it's in the shade Maldives. You can see it's this beautiful purpley pink color here. But the nice thing with glosses is that they're not nearly as bold as they look when they're in the tube, for the most part. Some glosses are a little intense, but this one, quite subtle. So there it is on the lips. You can see that it does help to just brighten up the overall look while not being super intense or really bold. If you use a liquid lipstick, it is going to be way more pigmented. It is, Luna, good Lord, lie down, dog. All right. It's going to be far more in your face and far more obvious. And of course, if you're new to color, you're going to feel more self-conscious about it. So I would recommend starting with the gloss. It kind of dips your toe into it. It also gets your co-workers used to seeing you with some color, and then you can progress from there. And then it's just sort of like a slippery slope. Like, lip gloss is your gateway drug, if you will. Okay, so now that we've talked about lips, I'm not going to go through the effort of adding, of putting on a multitude of different colors. You get the idea. If you feel comfortable with wearing a liquid lipstick, go for it. There's nothing wrong with that. Or even a bullet lipstick that's in a brighter color, absolutely nothing wrong with that. It all depends on what you feel comfortable with. So now let's move on back to the eyes. There are a few different ways that I like to incorporate color. Now, if you're not aware, I work at a law firm. I happen to own the law firm. So I'm not going to give myself flack if I show up with bright colored eyeshadow. I'm not going to fire myself, so I don't really have that concern. Where my concern comes in is on court dates. So when I'm representing somebody at court, there is a certain expectation in terms of your decorum and in terms of your attire that you're wearing. So while there's no like hard and fast rules on makeup, I don't necessarily want to push the envelope too far with that. I don't want to be the cause for a memo going out to the local law association about wearing colorful eyeshadow. Get me? So I tend to keep it more along this lines, but then sometimes when I'm feeling particularly playful, I will add some elements of color to it. That's what I'm going to do now. Now, of course, I've only got 2 eyes. I could take my makeup all off, reapply it to show you like a few different complete looks, but I'm not going to do that. So what I'm going to do is just add a few elements as we go, maybe one on either side, and it's going to look a hot mess by the end, but you'll get the idea. Let's play this out and see what happens. So liquid eyeliner is a very easy way to start and a very easy way to incorporate some color. There are a myriad of shades available, and fun fact, if you can't find the particular shade that you're looking for, you can turn to something like a liquid lipstick and use it as a liner. Just ensure that you get one that tends to dry down to a transfer-proof finish, or else it's going to become a hot mess. A liquid liner that I really do like is from the brand Black Up. It's available through Sephora. The shade in particular that I like is the Cobalt Blue, and I've talked about this a bunch in multiple videos, and I know I have like an entire dedicated tutorial on it back from my very early days of my channel. Adding this to a look like this just adds a little pop of color. So why don't we do that? So there is the liner, obviously. Now if you want to keep it super subtle, you don't need to do a wing or anything like that. If you feel comfortable doing so, you can add a wing and it's just that much more color on your eyes. But it just sort of brightens up. It's a little pop without being like, here's my blue eyeshadow. You know what I mean? So I'm just gonna leave that one there like that for now. Another option is colored mascara, and I do have a Cobalt Blue mascara. Colored mascaras are not all created equally. Some of them are fantastic and others are crap. This one is from YSL. For the price of it, it better be fantastic, and it is. This one shows up true to color on my lashes, and I absolutely adore it. I don't have all of their colors. This is the only one that I do have because they're like $40 each. The Sephora brand ones are pretty okay. I don't really love the mascara itself, but if you're just dotting it along the lower lash line or something like that, it's not bad. It at least shows up. I have not had good luck with the NYX ones, so it's really kind of a trial and error, but I can at least speak for this one that it is really good, and I really like the mascara itself. So because I have the blue liner on this eye, I'm going to add the blue mascara to this one just to keep it a bit more cohesive. I'm not going to bother putting it on the upper lashes. I'm just going to put it along the lower lashes, again, just for a little pop of blue. Even if you don't have the liner on, you can still just add this, and it's just a little bit of visual intrigue. So there you can see the blue mascara on those lower lashes. Again, it's not over the top, but it does add a bit of fun to your eye look. And I'm just going to round that eye look out with a little bit of black mascara on the upper lashes, just so you can see, if you were to pair the two of them together, what the liner and mascara would look like. And there's a complete eye look. I would totally wear this together, like the blue liner with the blue mascara, but you could go for one or the other depending on your comfort level. But there's just a couple of ideas. So let's see what we can do over here. let us actually line the lower lashes. And I'm going to use a shade from the Melt Cosmetics Radioactive palette. It is all super, you know what, I can bring this out a little bit so we can see what I'm actually talking about. There we go. So when you look at this palette, obviously it's bright and bold. That might scream to you not work appropriate. However, it can be, depending on how you do it. Okay, so what color do we want to use along the lower lash line? If you wanted to keep it super subtle, you could go for this really dark teal. But for the purposes of this video, we want something that is brighter and bolder. So let's go for the orange. That'll pair nicely with like the coppery shade that we've got going on here. So I'm just going to use a smaller, fluffier brush. I'm not going to use like a really defined flat brush to wipe across because that's just going to put a lot of pigment down. So I'm just going to use this one. This one is the MAC 221. So I'm going to pick up that shade Radon. Really tap off the excess. And then just buff that into the lower lash line. So you can see in using that kind of brush where it is just a small fluffy brush, it doesn't pack the pigment on really strongly, but you can still see the orange. So it does add some color, but it turns that somewhat intimidating shade into something that's actually quote unquote wearable. But say you're comfortable with this and you want to take it to the next step. You have a waterline available and you can add a colorful liner in there. Now I do happen to have an orange one from ColourPop, which I'm going to pair with this, but you could also just skip the orange shadow, maybe put some of that cool tone brown down there again just to define the eyes, and then just put the colorful shadow or the colorful liner and just let that be your pop of color. But I'm not going to take this off because lazy, so I'm just going to build on it with this one. And there you can see, it just intensifies the orange a bit and just makes it that much more poppy. You know what I mean. Inner corner. You can use color in your inner corner. You can use any color you want and it's gonna look dope, basically. So for this, I'm going to do the inner corner on this side here. I've already got the orange. If you think about what colors kind of go with orange, blue comes to mind. So I could use a light blue in there. And the one I'm going to use, guys, don't kill me. I did buy one of these like 4-pan, ridiculously expensive Pat McGrath palettes. There it is there. I was returning stuff and I put that towards this, so I don't feel I need to justify myself, but I'm going to. We're going to use this super sparkly blue one here. So I'm just going to pick that up on a brush, but I'm just going to pop that in that inner corner. Alright, I'm not loving that on the inner corner. It works. I think the orange is throwing me off. I really do. But I'm going to show a different option on this side. So this is the shade Blacklight from Makeup Geek, and it's so pretty. It's such a beautiful inner corner shade. That is much better. So it's got like this like purpley blue shift to it. It's subtle, but it definitely catches the light. It just adds that little bit of something something. And I really like this shade for an inner corner highlight. And this one is workable. I think it's just too glittery, I think is my problem. I don't know. Really like that one better. Okay. Anyways, there you have it. There's some ideas. Let me back this out. We're here. I'm vested. Let's try something, because that blue is bugging me. It really is. So I'm going to take a cotton pad, dab it off. It's not perfect, but that's fine. Okay, I'm gonna go back into the radioactive palette. Let's go balls to the walls with it. Let's pick up the pink. Stick that in the inner corner. This is the shade Radioactive. Because there's no rule saying that the inner corner has to be subtle. It can be as bold as you want it to be. I don't know. I'm just fucking around at this point. Again, without the orange though, it's bright. So there's another option. Okay, before this just becomes clown makeup, I'm gonna stop here. I think you get the idea. There are multitudes of different ways. Find what makes you feel comfortable. Maybe go a little bit beyond that. Just sort of like push your boundaries just a little bit and see what happens. But there's just some playful little ideas for you. Okay, I hope that was helpful. This has taken me forever to film. The editing of this is going to be a nightmare. But it's been a lot of fun. I love color. I do. I don't wear like, you know, cut creases and super like colorful rainbow eyes all the time or anything like that, but I do have a very deep appreciation for those kinds of looks because they're beautiful. But on an everyday basis, this is more the look that I personally would go for. This one minus the inner corner, absolutely as well. This inner corner is just being a punk today and it's just not going to cooperate. So we all have our struggles, right? All right, I'm going to stop messing around with this eye before it gets supremely angry with me and just end this video here. I really do hope that it was helpful. I would love to hear from you guys if there's any ways that you like to incorporate color into your looks or what your favorite go-to colors are, all that kind of fun stuff. Just leave it on down below and I will see you in my next video. Until then, just be a decent human being. I'm not sure what all the like head jerking is now when I do my outros. Perhaps I've developed a tic. I don't know. Should I change up my outro? It's been like almost 2 years of saying the exact same thing. Should I change it up? Let me know. And if I should, please give me some suggestions on what I should say. Because the only thing I can come up with is peace out, motherfuckers. What in the hell am I saying? One more time from the top. Okay. If I'm pronouncing that wrong, I do apologize, but I can't think of any other way to apologize. Pronounce. I am struggling so hard. Editing this is going to be a nightmare.